Welcome everybody to today's webinar entitled Connected Disconnecting, Rethink End User Data Backup. My name is Yadin Porter de Leon, and I'm a technical account manager here at Druva, and I'm very excited to have all of you joining us today. Just some quick housekeeping items before we get started. One thing I'd like to remind everybody about that is you all are in listen-only mode, so you won't be able to hear anyone else talking outside of the people presenting today. Also, at the end of the presentation, if you have any questions, go ahead and enter them into the panel on the right, and we'll make sure that we answer them during the Q&A section. And finally, this session is being recorded, and it'll be available for you to review later or share with any colleagues who were unable to attend today. And so, as you can see, also all the details will be sent out to you after the event on how to access the recording. All right, so now that we got that out of the way, I'm pleased to have with me today Julio Hernandez of Booz Allen Hamilton and Tony Piscopo of Druva. At this point, I'll hand it over to Tony to introduce himself.
Thanks, Yadin. I'm Tony Piscopo. I am also a technical account manager here at Druva. I've spent the last 15 years of my career in architecture and engineering roles in large enterprises. Previously coming to Druva, I spent the last 7 years at Pfizer running the HP connected backup solution before they migrated over to Druva. So I'm very fluent and lots of experience in desktop endpoint backup and understanding some of the pain points that come along with them. With that, I'm going to hand it over to Julio for a second to do an introduction for himself.
All right, thank you, Tony. I'm Julio Hernandez. I currently work for Booz Allen Hamilton. I've been with the firm for about 12 years now, working on the endpoint engineering side. I currently manage the Druva backup, and I previously managed connected backup for the firm.
Julio, can you give us a little bit of background about BAH? Who is Booz Allen Hamilton, and what do you guys do?
Oh, sure. So we're a government and commercial consulting firm with over 22,000 employees worldwide. There's a couple of several of our clients include the Department of Defense, Department of Treasury, all military branches, DHS, and among others. I think we're over 90 years. The firm is over 90 years old and still going very strong.
Where is your user base mainly located? What kind of user footprint do you guys have?
We pretty much we have a big mobile workforce. We're primarily in the United States, but like I said, we do have clients and our users are located outside the U.S. as well. But the majority is our mobile workforce.
Now, you guys had HP connected previously. What brought out the need to go and search for a replacement solution to something you guys currently had running that was backing up all of your endpoints?
Okay, so we previously had connected for even before I joined the firm, I believe. A lot of the major pain points we had were backups were very inconsistent. Also, when backups did work, they were slow and they caused a lot of downtime for a lot of our users, which caused a lot of calls to our help desk and a lot of complaints, and it was just overall wasn't what it was supposed to do. We had occasional loss or corruption of large files and trying to restore data. It's primarily with like PST files and things like that. Admin management was very tedious, and we had to deal with a lot of the constant license cleanups, things like that. The reporting wasn't very comprehensive like it is in Druva. It wasn't very granular at all. What else? Painful. We had painful e-discovery process, and also excessive bandwidth and storage usage requirements. So there were it was a very long list of pain points that we had, which caused us to need a need for a new one, a new solution, to make things better. And so that's why Druva came into the picture.
Yeah.
So.
No, I want to dig into a few of these, just so the audience has a better understanding, so we all have a better understanding of what's some of them more. I mean, you brought up lots of tickets to help desk and slow backups and just performance in general. Can you give us an idea of what the users were seeing from a performance standpoint, and what the pain points were around the user experience?
Sure. So a lot of the tickets that would come into the help desk is that people would complain that their backups were just it was just bogging their machine down, so it was very intrusive. And they would complain that they couldn't get their work done and things like that. Restores were a very big thing. We had users with older machines in the firm, and sometimes, their hard drives would crash. Fortunately, they wouldn't do a backup, and, the technician on site would try to go to connect it and download the data, and they would get partial data or no data at all. And then, so those were primarily the two main biggest complaints from our user base that we encounter on a daily basis.
So there's a lot of inconsistencies even on the restore side.
The restore points were a big issue, primarily with my experience with the users. A lot of the files, wouldn't come over, or primarily their PST files, they would be corrupted somehow, and a lot of people depend on their emails and things like that, and they just weren't able to get it. So people lost a lot of data, and we were promised, things would get better, and they did. They never did. So.
You said one of your pain points was around e-discovery and trying to identify the data for the users. What were the pain points you were seeing with HP Connected around e-discovery?
Well, it was just being able to retrieve the data, to hold the data, and sometimes there would be investigations with our law department and our. So it's just we couldn't retrieve the data that we needed a lot of the times. We thought that people would be doing investigations and things like that, and the data wouldn't even be in held. It wasn't even held. So that was pretty much the biggest thing.
So you were getting a lot of false positives when you thought you were doing
exactly. Yeah, that's right.
Now, from the administration side, what were some of the items you guys were dealing with on a day-to-day basis that were just really painful to actually get through? All the things you had to do redundantly.
Right. So one of the big things were the license cleanups, because we were being charged per device, not per user, and so we had to make sure that we were constantly in the admin console cleaning out licenses that weren't used and things. It was just tedious, and we had 16 to 17,000 licenses, and it had to be done you had to be really on top of it, because if a month went by when we had overages, they would charge us an arm and a leg, and that it was costing the firm a lot of money. And let's see, what else can I think of? The reporting functionality wasn't as granular as it is now. Just even the admin console wasn't as user friendly as we have now. So that made our job a lot harder. Plus, it was really slow accessing the console, and just even running a report sometimes it would take over an hour, just depending on what report we needed. So it was just very painful and slow, to be honest.
It sounds like you have a long list of why you went out and looked at replacements for it. Now, move on to the next piece in here is, what were the criteria that you were looking at? When you were evaluating a new product, everybody usually puts together their checklist of what I absolutely must have, what I'd like to have, and what would be great if it was in there. From the higher level, what were the absolutes that you guys said we have to take away from this? It's not worth switching if we don't at least get these additional benefits.
Okay, well, first of all, we needed a product that worked, that just didn't say it was working and, hey, okay, I'm going to back up my data every day, and when the time comes, it's not there. We needed something that worked, and that was the main criteria. We needed to be able to do restores when, unfortunately, a hard drive would crash or the computer would get stolen, things like that. And we needed those. Those were the two main things. We needed we needed the security that we knew our data would be there when when the time came that we needed to retrieve it. Comprehensive reporting was a big issue that we had with Connected, and we needed that as well. Another thing was support. So one thing that I remember that when we would open up a ticket with their support, with Connected support, it wasn't very. They were very responsive. Sometimes they would go days without responding back to us after we opened up a help desk ticket with them, and that was a big thing. Also the client on the end user machine had to be very user friendly, had to be easy to understand, had to be easy to read, had to be easy to restore data on their own. It's fair for customers to be able to do that on their own without having to call the help desk, and that was a big thing. We wanted the admin console to be very user friendly and precise when we needed reporting and things like that, or just managing the licenses and things like that. Those are the big issues that we needed another solution to take care of.
So around user experience, I mean, obviously it's one of the key pieces in the industry, and everybody wants to make sure that their user base is happy. So you don't end up with internal tickets and just people turning things off or trying to work around what you guys have in place. Were there any key functionalities that you guys were looking at on the user experience side that one had it didn't when you were looking at the products, or just in general things like CPU throttling and bandwidth throttling, the ability to say, don't run as fast or as long. Again, I'll let you describe, but what items were you guys looking for from the user experience?
Well, just like you explained, and Druva has given us that type of capability. Before, the users were very limited into what they can do. Even just a simple fact of restoring their data, it was very convoluted. It wasn't as streamlined as it is, or easy as it is with the Druva inSync client right now. And that was a big thing. Another big thing was we wanted the backup to run seamless on the machine, where the user didn't even know it was backing up. Just hey, it's done, or hey, it's starting and it's done, and it doesn't impact performance at all. That was a very big key item as well. That was, like I said earlier, a lot of complaints that the users would complain that their system, they couldn't complete their work because once their backup started, it just kind of hosed the machine, or just, and we don't see that with Druva at all. So.
Now, from an administration standpoint, I know you were saying some of your pain points were with trying to get data restored. Can you give us an idea of what the process was like, or what your process requirements were?
Definitely. One of the most annoying things were having to order media, and not just to order the media, but being charged $20 to $30 per DVD. And sometimes you would get like 10 or 12 or even more DVDs, and it was just added cost that it was just costing the firm more and more money, and we don't see that with Druva at all. And not even that. If a user needed their data right away, we'd have to wait a week to even receive the discs. Or because just trying to download the data was cumbersome, and it took forever, and it was just very very painful to watch and to hold the user's machine for a day or so until we were able to get their data, and then here's your machine back. Well, we don't see that with Druva right now.
Now, you were saying that the limitations with downloading from the admin console, that it was slow and it didn't work, and that there were limitations on what you were able to download. Can you give us an idea of what limitations you guys were running into?
Well, just the time. So, it's been a while since we've used it, but I remember just downloading. A user would bring their machine into our office and, hey, can you download restore our data? So we image their machine, we try to restore their data after installing their connected client, and it would just take hours on hours, and that caused loss of productivity for our end user. And again, that was one of the biggest things that we had to deal with.
But as an admin, you said you had to go out and order the media, so you had to order the restores of the user's devices. So from an admin's perspective, I mean, what were you guys able to restore, and what were you not able to restore?
Well, yeah. So that process, if we were able to, I think it also had to do with size limitation as well. When if a user lost 30, 40, 50 gigs of data, we'd have to order their DVDs because it was supposedly be a much faster process. But again, we'd have to go in, call the connected support, and then let them we request the data, provide a charge number, and then wait about 7 to 10 business days for them to return that data to us. So as an admin, having to deal with that on a daily basis was also very time consuming. And we got a lot of that. And it was just not a good thing.
So the limitation on the Druva side isn't there with the 2 gig file size limits and the ability not to restore PSD, but that's actually one of the key pieces you guys were looking for.
Correct. Yeah, no, not at all. Our help desk or our on-site technicians, they really rely heavily on the Druva inSync client now, where a user comes in and they have a hard drive crash, where they re-image the machine, or they replace the hard drive, re-image the machine, and they install the inSync client, and then they can download the data right then and there, and the user has their machine back usually within a few hours. And before it would take like a day or so, and that's just giving the machine back, not including the data. So yeah, the process has been, it's just like night and day difference.
So to get into why you chose Druva, I mean, obviously you guys went out there and evaluated the competitors and ran a side-by-side comparison against HP Connect also. What were some of the reasons you guys chose Druva? I mean, obviously to uproot from a current solution and to go through the process of installing another solution, uninstalling the previous solution, with trying to do the data migrations and putting in the new processes and procedures and retraining everybody. It's a big internal project for any company to undertake. What were the main reasons you guys were willing to go and do that? I mean, were the differences that big, and can you give us an idea of some of the items that you guys said were absolutely required?
Well, yeah, definitely. First, I was tasked to find this solution. I went online. I started researching Gartner reports, just different vendors, and comparing side by side. And then I reached out to a few, and right away I got a call back from Druva and Joey, your account manager. Reached out. Within a few days, you guys were on site. You presented a demo, and we had our manager, and 2 managers joined the meeting as well, and they were just very pleased with what you guys had to offer. The functionality, the ease. Just the way it looked. We needed something fresh. We were connected for several years, and it just was the same old, outdated look and feel. And it was just like a breath of fresh air, to be honest with you. And when you guys came in, and we decided to go with the demo, and we had a really short timeline, because I think 2 months we had to re-up with Connected again. So we were kind of running short on time, and you guys put it in the demo. We we got a bunch of teams involved at Booz Allen, and your staff was just there the whole, every step of the way. It was a long process, but and I know I'm jumping all over the place. I'm trying to remember like the exact,
I don't know. It's all right.
Yeah, but it was, it was just, it was just a good, overall like team effort. Like I think implementing inSync in the firm was one of the fastest applications that was ever implemented in such a short period of time. With more than 5 or 6 teams involved, with security and things like that, and it just we have no complaints. It's just been a great effort. With working with you guys, and we're very happy. So.
Now, were there some of the key functionalities that we had that HP didn't have that were real differentiators while you were looking at doing this? Us going to AWS cloud versus HP hosted in the Iron Mountain data centers. We're spread across numerous different infrastructure, different global data centers for data privacy reasons. The legal hold. I'll let you speak to some of them. Some of them are up on the screen right now also.
Yeah, I see that now. That's one of the things. The legal hold process was a big thing. Just the ease of that. From time to time, we do get requests from our legal department to place. They're doing investigations, so we have to place users' machines on hold. And one of the good things about you guys is that we can place the legal hold on the user's device. They'll continue to back up, but they won't know that they've been placed on a legal hold. And whereas in Connected, they knew we had to stop their account from backing up, and so they were aware, and that's one of the big things that I think sold our leadership on inSync. And the AWS, as you mentioned, that as well. And just, I guess, just the overall functionality. I think we were just so ready for something new, and when you guys came, it was just, again, it was just a breath of fresh air, and just the ability, to really have restores work was just, we just needed something that worked, and basically, you guys came and showed us this product, showed us that it works. We've had it since June, and I mean, we can't say enough good things about you guys. So,
sure sounds like the processes have gotten a lot easier. Now, I've got a question for you. We've talked about this previously, but it was a new term that I had actually heard until I started working with you, which was data spillage. And I actually had to look it up after the first meeting that we had. And can you give us a little background, or I'll give a little background and give a little more insight. So data spillage is when you actually have data on a user's machine that they should not have, which is one of the pieces of cleanup that you guys are responsible for doing. Can you give us an idea of what how this is a pain point, and what do you guys have to do to go about to mediate this?
Right. So we have a security team that also so if a user has proprietary information or some kind of classified information that they shouldn't have on their machine, and it accidentally gets backed up, several teams get involved, and right away they confiscate the machine, they remove the file, and then the security team does their cleaning. We go into the actual client and the inSync client, and we were able to go back to the snapshot was done but the backup was done in September 1st, for example. We can go back to that snapshot and delete all those prior snapshots where that file was in there without having to delete all of the user's data. So that's actually a really big thing that's made our job easier. It doesn't happen all the time, but I'm sorry, go ahead, Tony.
What was the process before? How did you have to remedy this before?
That I'm not sure. I think we had another team that really dealt with that, and yeah, so I'm not sure exactly what that process was in the past. I believe, because I have been working
from an HP connected solution. Right? What did you guys have to do with HP connected compared to Druva when you have to write the data out of the backup site?
If I recall correctly, I believe we had to actually cancel the account, like delete the account. But I'm not 100% sure because it's been a long time since I've done that. But I believe that's what had to happen, which was very intrusive to the customer. So, which
could move us into the next slide, which is you guys have been up and running now for about 6 months.
Yes.
How is it 6 months later of changing solutions?
No, it's great. Our numbers at the help desk regarding at least and user backup application has gone down significantly. We get them here and there, very, very, very small amount. Our users, they're like I said earlier, their backups are working. We don't see complaints where their machines are being bogged down or they're not able to perform their daily work activity. Restoring their data has been night and day. And like I said earlier, our contractors, the technicians who work with the actual end users, they solely depend on the Druva inSync client to restore data when they're fixing machines or when they have to re-image their machines. They've gone away from using external hard drives where they now depend on the actual inSync client. They install it, they download the data, and the user can have their machine in less than a few hours. On the admin side, we don't have we're not inundated with doing admin tasks throughout the day. Right now it's just very limited. We launch the client, we take a look at the different tables that are there, and make sure everything's good, and so far so good. It's the past 6 months have been a lot easier for me and my other colleagues who actually help admin manage the Druva solution. So
from a manager perspective, you don't have to go in and deal with the one-to-one associations like you previously had to, where the account number was associated to a specific machine and really not associated to a user specifically.
Yeah, and that's one of the nice things that here it's licenses per user, and you're allotted 10 devices per license, which in the past we were being charged per license, per device, which that right there is just so much better. So, which is obviously an issue when you have users with multiple devices and you're paying for multiple accounts. And which we do exactly, like our more so our like our VPs, our presidents, and our upper level management, they tend to have 2 to 3 devices, and including a mobile device. And that's another thing that people have been really enjoying with this inSync client, that you can actually view your files and data on your actual mobile devices, your iPads and iPhones and things like that, which come in really handy when you're going into a meeting and you don't have to bring your laptop in. You can just bring your iPad or your phone and it's there in the palm of your hand. So that's one of the big things that I remember when you guys came to demo it, we were like, wow, that's pretty impressive, and so yeah, a lot of neat features you guys had where that connected did not.
So from a user experience, it's night and day difference.
Oh yeah, by far, and I'm really passionate about it because it's made my job easier, but it also makes the users happier and to know that your data is safe and that your data is there when you need it, and it really is there. Not just saying, oh yeah, it works, but no, it's really there, and that's one of the big things, because our company, is based on intellectual data that we need to have it when we need it. So
now, overall, I mean, obviously, the pain points you guys were looking at, why you were going out and looking for solutions. So things like the restores themselves. I'm assuming that that's all gotten substantially better, and your process of life has become easier.
Yes, much better, 100 times better. Yes, yes, it has.
Now, from a support perspective, if you had to compare the support staff between the two organizations and the level of response.
No, it's yeah, and I should have spoke a little more about that earlier. But yeah, it's you guys have your support page that you can easily create a support ticket, and it's very specific. You put the problem, the client or whatever solution you're calling about, and your little description. I mean, you get an email right away. You get a call back. If there's no solution there, or if the support engineer needs a little more data, they'll call you. And you normally get the same guys. They understand what's going on, and they follow up the next day. And when they tell you they're going to call you back, they call you back. And that's one thing that we really like about the Druva support team. This, like I said, the response is just amazing, and they're with you until that there's a solution to the problem. So.
Now, I've got one more question down that avenue, and which was enhancements and feature sets and requirements. What have you seen the difference to the two? When you'd like a feature or requesting enhancements?
Oh yeah, well, I mean, I think you guys just recently updated the dashboard, the admin dashboard, and it's just it's the ease of use. When we need something, when we need a report, or when we need to go look at a user's account, it's not like, oh my gosh, where do we go? Drill down here, Joe. It's just click here, input the employee ID number, and there's all your stuff. I mean, it's just all right there. And where in Connected, again, it was an outdated user interface or admin interface, and it wasn't very concise and clear. Step here, step here, step here. It's just all over the place. Where with the Druva admin console, it's not like that. And so this dashboard is it's very clean and very easy to use. So and again with the client, that the user's experience is just so much better than it was with the Connected client.
Well, I appreciate that. At this point in the webinar, I am going to hand it back to you, Dean, to do a introduction and a walkthrough of the application.
Thanks, Tony. Good stuff. What we're going to do right now is actually see some of the features that you guys are talking about in action. So we're going to go ahead and show a few of those in the admin console, which is what you'll see next.
The dashboard shows a summary view of all aspects of the system. This provides high-level visibility across all the devices and current end-user activities. Druva inSync is designed from the ground up to associate users with their data, rather than the endpoint-first design of legacy solutions. When using the system, it's very easy to show different representations of your data, depending on exactly what you're looking for. Let me show you some examples. Here I can see a list of all the devices across the organization. I can further delineate this list based off of criteria around the device itself, as well as the group within the organization that a user's device belongs to, or the storage location where their data is kept. Here I've selected a specific user from the list. From here I can see a number of different things about their account, such as their usage versus quota, profile settings around their devices, usage statistics, the number of devices that user holds, the cloud apps that they're connected to and store data within. And from here, I have the ability to even restore a user's data. When I choose to restore, I can see all of the user's data across all of their devices. The system manages a time index view for the data, which is a powerful construct. Instead of a strict file versioning approach, this allows for data to be used in a number of other ways for more than just file restores. From this interface, I can download a user's files locally or restore to any of their devices on their behalf. You can also choose to expose this same functionality to the user as well, for them to restore their own data, either strictly from a corporate device or, if allowed, from any web browser. DLP capabilities allow me to see where a device was last seen. If a user loses a device, an administrator can disable or delete the contents of the device. By issuing a command to decommission a device, the remotely managed data will be removed next time the device is seen online. Or an auto-delete policy can be set if a device doesn't check in within a set period of time. Providing IT visibility and control over user data is key to our solution. Full audit logs are kept of both end user and administrator activities so that policy changes and data interactions can be tracked. Federated search allows for search of data across all user devices, allowing admins to quickly locate files of interest. Since inSync is regularly collecting end-user data across both mobile and cloud, the system is designed to easily facilitate legal holds, which can be created and therefore preserve employee data indefinitely while simultaneously making that data available for direct use by corporate e-discovery tools. There's no need to move data to a new location, which could possibly result in spoliation. Reports can be scheduled to be sent to those who need to know for things like misconfigured settings, end-user sharing activities, restored data, and inactive devices. A world-class security framework is only as good as your internal access policies. A delegated administration model allows you to grant varying levels of capabilities to stakeholders within the organization. Administrative access to both policies and data can be controlled to enforce your corporate policies. This includes things like delegating access to repositories that exist in a specific physical geography for compliance initiatives like safe harbor or data residency. Allowing the help desk access strictly for data restores without the ability to modify policies. And restricting visibility to data and audit trails of admins for data that is being stored on the behalf of company officers. The inSync agent runs seamlessly and unobtrusively on a user's device. From here, they can restore data across any devices that they have access to with a full view of all available data snapshots.
Great. So at this point in the webinar, we're going to open it up to questions. Looks like we've got a lot of fantastic questions that have come in, and we're going to get to as many as we can with the time that we have. So it looks like the first one's about making the choice between solutions. This one says, what advice would you give to peers who are on the fence about switching? I'm going to pass it over to you, Tony. Do you want to handle that first?
I think this is definitely a great question for the field. If you have peers in your field looking to switch, what advice would you give them?
Well, I'm a little biased because we're on inSync, but I would definitely put them side by side and see what the pain points are with your current solution and you see what inSync has to offer, and I bet that you will see that inSync actually surpasses your current solution if it is connected. Because I did compare the other solutions out there with what inSync had to offer, and by far, hands down, they're better, and also what they don't have. Now they always ask, what can they do to make this better for us? Like today we had a meeting, what kind of reporting tools, do you guys want to see in the actual, dashboard or whatever? How can we make it better? How can we streamline a process? How can we do this? And it's like they're always willing to work with the customer and work with us and just make the solution just even better than it is. So.
Excellent. Here's another one. How often are you seeing failed or false positives? And I think that has to do with end users.
Well, with Connected, we saw a lot of them. With inSync, we don't really see any at all. At least I don't have any experience with that since you guys have been in the firm the past 6 months. So I would say none, to be honest.
Excellent. And how has your role changed now that you're off HP Connected?
Oh, it's gotten much easier. I have more time to work on other projects and other duties that that I'm assigned. It's honestly, I turn my machine on in the mornings. I launch the admin console. I look at the numbers, make sure that there's nothing blaring that it's critical or anything, or no. I also look in. We have. I don't have the console in front of me now, but there's a report, like an alerts tab. I go in there and check if there's anything. And honestly, it's pretty much just boring because there's nothing. I don't have to do anything. It's made my job a lot easier, and I can speak for the other admins on my team. There's two others, and they're the same. They have more time to work on other things where they don't have to be constantly calling, "Hey, I need help with this. What's going on with this? Why can't a user back up? Why can't they restore?" It's like it's made our job a lot easier.
Oh, that's fantastic. Actually, we do have a lot more questions left, but unfortunately, it looks like we're out of time right now. Thanks, Julio. Keep in mind, all those who are listening, that we'll respond offline to all those who have questions, and we weren't able to get to those today. Also, feel free to reach out to us at any time through the 1-800 number and the email address that we have up on the screen right now. And with that, I want to take this opportunity to thank you both, Tony, and thank you very much, Julio, for the fantastic presentation.
No, my pleasure.
And also, I want to thank all of the attendees for joining us today. Thanks, everybody.